we can make use of a really useful feature of Ionic, Angular and TypeScript, and we can create a model for the data that we use to populate the interface. In our model, which is here in Inquiry Service, we've got data items, 1, 2, 3 data items, and each one of those has an identical structure. We have strings and numbers in exactly the same place so that when we use them to render our interface, they will appear correctly. If any one of these was wrong, our interface may well not render because it's trying to read the wrong type of data. So we can use a thing called an interface, which is like a template for a data item, to make sure that whenever we try to use an inquiry, it fits the pattern that we expect it to have. So we go to App and create a new file, and we're going to call this file inquiry.model.ts. So we've got the model, and we can now start to put its data in there. So we have our model class of data here, which is all the items, and the easier thing to do is to copy it from where we know it's good and use that in the model that we're going to create. So we use export interface, which is the keyword and the name of the model. Paste the data in, and I'll change the values to types. We're going to export it, obviously, because we need to import and use it in other components of the system. So I've changed the data to types, and we can now start to use this data in our various places that we deal with inquiries. What I'm going to do is just going to save to make sure I haven't broken anything, because it's really important that you save as often as you can. And then I'm going to go to the next place that we're going to use it, which is the inquiry service, and we're going to import our model here so that the inquiry service can use it. That's probably the most fundamental one of them all, because if the service gets it right, it is likely that we'll get it right whenever we use it elsewhere. So import inquiry from /inquiry model. We're in the same folder, so / is where we'll find it. What we now do is we change the inquiries, which is the set or the array of objects, to make sure that inquiries is specified as an array of our inquiry model. So I go to the word inquiries, which is the definition of this array, and put a colon and then specify that we want the array to be an array of inquiry model objects. So inquiry, then square brackets, and it seems to be okay. All the red lines have disappeared, which is good. So we've now got a model that fits all of the data that we created, and the data fits the model and so forth. So what we do now is we go to the other places within the application that we use this data when we're transferring it between screens, when we're populating interfaces, and make sure that when it's used there, it also fits the pattern. Now, the first place is going to be in home.ts, and we're going to import the data model, and this time it will be a // the same as inquiry service, to navigate up to, go to the app folder, find the inquiry model in that folder. So we're importing inquiry from that model. So what we'll now do is we'll make sure that when inquiries is used in this place, in this particular file, it also fits the model pattern that we have defined in our inquiry model. So inquiry, and it's an array because it's inquiries, square brackets does that. We also have to change the on item click to make sure that when an inquiry object, you'll see in the parentheses, is passed into the function, that it also fits the inquiry model. We check at every place that we use it. So we can save, nothing seems to break, so it seems that we've got that particular part right. Now the next place that we're going to use it is in in detail.ts, so we'll go there next and change that. So I'm inside the detail.ts, same stuff as before really. Put the model in as an import so that we can use it in the file. And then we're going to make sure that wherever we use inquiry, it fits the pattern. So we're going to say inquiry is an inquiry array, it's an inquiry model. And we might as well, while we're here, change the types to be strings, because they always are strings. So we change that to an array of strings and save, and the application should function just as before. And it does. Everything seems to be working well. We've now centralized the model. Now this is a really big step towards making sure that we can make sure that whenever we gather data from an external source that it fits a pattern that we need. We can't display data that doesn't fit the pattern because we haven't planned for it. You may notice that I've changed the interface around here a bit, just so that while I'm working with the code, that the browser is on the left. I wanted a change, and actually I think it's easier for us to look at the code and the browser in the same way, because there's no big black gap on the right hand side between the code and the browser.